Hey, it's Becca. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. So, the last time I did a rant video on this channel, you guys seemed to really enjoy it, and everyone seemed to have a ton of pent-up anger about Voltron, a show that ended almost 3 years ago now. Why does someone have to be mowing the lawn right now? This happened last time I tried to film. My brother decided, hey, I'm gonna go play basketball for the first time in years. So because everyone seemed to really like that, I thought I'd do another rant on a show that everyone seems to have pent-up anger about as well, which is Miraculous, The Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir, which is a mouthful, so I'm just gonna call it Miraculous for you guys, just because, for my sanity. So, this is gonna be a little less scripted than typical, because I don't like doing scripts when I rant. So if I go off on little tangents, you know why. But yeah, this should be really fun, and if you guys enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this, and let's get into the video. Alright, first I figured I'd just talk about the story itself. I think the story is a good concept. I liked the idea of the story, at least in the beginning, and I thought for the first season they were doing a pretty good job of going through the show and going through their story. And it was progressing a little slow, but it was being made at the time as a kids show, which you can have good development and good pacing in kids show, but that seems to be more rare than normalized now, which sucks for all of us that like to watch kids shows. So I do think I like the idea of the Miraculous as a concept. I liked at first the idea of just like a few Miraculous, and then all of a sudden there's like 20 something of them, which is hard to keep track of, and I don't necessarily think they needed to do as many Miraculous as they have. I don't think Marinette needed to give as many Miraculous as she did to all of her classmates. I kind of liked the idea of just kind of like the core ones that they had, so the ladybug, the cat, the butterfly, peacock, fox, and turtle. Like, I think those 6, and then bee, 7. So if they stuck with those 7, I think that would have been a better way to go, and to focus more on those heroes specifically instead of introducing more and more and more Miraculous. It just seems a little ridiculous that they wouldn't have figured out at this point. With all of her class having Miraculous, they wouldn't have figured something out by now, and with all of them getting revealed too. It's like, it just feels a little unbelievable to me. Obviously it's a show about superheroes of magic jewelry, but it's just like, even in that context, it just feels a little unrealistic. But, you know, if that's what they're gonna do, that's what they're gonna do, and not much we can do about it now. So I like where the story is going, however, I do feel like it's a little slow-paced right now. It feels like, up until recently, not much really was going on. It just felt like a lot of the same stuff just over and over and over again. And I understand in the first season a lot of shows like to do that. They tend to do more episodic type things with maybe kind of like a serialized, like, overarching plot. However, I don't necessarily think that's working very well for Miraculous. The villain of the episode just doesn't seem to, at this point, be working well, because they're just recycling old villains. And now we can lead into me talking about the villains. I hate that they keep recycling villains. As much as I really enjoyed Mr. Pigeon 72, I think that's a great episode, I really enjoyed it. I don't like the fact that they're not really coming up with new villains. I don't think the villains necessarily need to have super complex backstories. Like, I don't think we need to necessarily know who they are. I think some of the better villains that we've seen haven't necessarily been people we know, unless it's like a reoccurring villain like Volpina. I think we don't need to know a whole bunch about these villains. I think it's okay for them to just kind of show up. If you're gonna do an episode, like a villain per episode, it's okay for them to just show up. I'm sick of them reusing villains. It just feels lazy. I do think that Mr. Pigeon 72, the idea of him constantly getting reakumatized and that being like a plot point for like a worry and a struggle for Marinette to constantly have to figure out how to defeat him and to like have this promise made to him that they're gonna like stop him from getting reakumatized. I think that's a good idea. But just being like, yeah, we're just gonna do another puppeteer episode, we're just gonna do another stormy weather episode, like, those weren't necessarily like the strongest episodes to begin with. Why are you bringing back villains that weren't even that strong in the first place? Like, it just feels lazy. It just feels kind of lazy. Now I want to talk about characters and their development. Or should I say, lack thereof. Marinette. We're gonna start with Marinette because I have a lot of thoughts on Marinette. I think she started out as a really, really good character. I really liked her. She was definitely my favorite, and I liked where she was going. I kind of liked that her crush on Adrian was like, she couldn't even function around him at first, and I think that that was a fun concept to go with. However, it's been 4 seasons. We're in season 4, and she hasn't moved past that yet. Come on. You really expect us to believe that anything could ever happen with the two of them if she continues to act like this? It's getting creepy at this point with how much she knows about his schedule and how stalkerish she is. And as much as I liked Mr. Pigeon 72, the whole thing kind of felt weird and creepy that she knew exactly where he was gonna be, and just that whole thing trying to get him and Kagami back together. Like, it just felt weird, and it just really showed how obsessed she is and how bad it's gotten, and I don't like it. I really don't like it, and I would have hoped at this point that they would have had Marinette kind of move past that. If they really wanted to show her moving on with Luca, they should have done that. And if they wanted to show that, okay, she really isn't ready for a relationship with anybody else other than Adrian, it still should have been some sort of time where she wasn't super focused on him. Like, if they wanted her to move on, they shouldn't have spent the entire New York special together. Like, it just feels like they're contradicting themselves, and it's frustrating to watch. Marinette as a character could be great, however, they are not using her in the show to her fullest potential. They are keeping her stuck in this weird place that she was in the beginning of season 1. And I understand she has a ton of added pressure now being the guardian, but I feel like that would have had her change more. Like, that would have had her develop more than just being a crazy stressed out person that's not sure what she's doing. Like, it just doesn't feel like any kind of development has happened with Marinette, and it's frustrating to watch. She was my favorite character at one point, and I'm sad to see what they're doing to her. It hurts to watch. I want it to get better for her. I want her to do better, and she's not, and it sucks. It's the best way to put it. It sucks. Now moving on to Adrian. Honestly, I feel like he's kind of in the same boat as Marinette. Hasn't really changed much in 4 seasons. Obviously, he's more, like, he's opened up more, he's able to, like, communicate better with people and communicate better with his friends, and I think he's gotten a little bit more development than Marinette has, but he also just doesn't get any kind of screen, like, nowhere near the screen time that Marinette gets. He doesn't get the time to develop. So, the fact that he hasn't really developed much in the show as a character is honestly understandable. Not much he can do with that. And I haven't seen Truth or Lie, either of those episodes, so I don't really know exactly what was going on that caused him and Kagami to break up. I don't know. However, I want it to get better for both of these characters. I want the show to have them develop. I want it to show that time has passed and that these characters are not the same people they were when they first met. Like, come on. We need some sort of development here, and it sucks that they haven't given that to either of their main characters. So, relationships. In this section, I'm just gonna focus on Lucanet and Adragami, the canon couples that have happened in the show. We will get to the love square later, don't worry. So, Lucanet, or both of these, they didn't give them a chance. They barely gave these couples a chance, and that's frustrating to me. I'll be honest, I don't ship either of these couples. However, I do think having Marinette and Adrian get with Luca and Kagami was super important to their, like, character development. I wanted them to have a good relationship with these two characters and to have it last for a while, but to ultimately realize that this isn't what they need. But they need to realize that, and I think they need to learn from Luca and Kagami. Learn something that they're not going to figure out just on their own. And they did not get enough time to do that. Ugh. Honestly, I feel bad for both Luca and Kagami. They clearly wanted this, they clearly put time and effort into their relationships, and Marinette and Adrian just couldn't really seem to care less. It's like, come on. They deserve better. It's hard to watch. It's really hard to watch. Alright, friendship time. So I'm gonna focus on two friendships, Marinette and Alia, and then Cat Noir and Ladybug. I think the friendship between Marinette and Alia is finally getting some progression and development now that she has told Alia that she's Ladybug. I think it was honestly the best thing that she could have done. I'm glad that she finally opened up to somebody, because she was clearly way too stressed out beyond belief. She needed somebody to be there for her, because clearly at that point nobody else was there. However, I do think this is going to throw a wrench in her and Cat Noir's friendship, because she could have turned to Cat Noir. She could have talked to Cat Noir. He knows that she's the guardian. I'm pretty sure he knows that she's the guardian now. And I feel like, as much as I like that Marinette and Alia and their friendship is finally getting some development, I think we needed to focus more on Ladybug and Cat Noir and their development as friends. I wish she had gone to Cat Noir first, at least. If it comes to the point where she needs somebody else, somebody like more thoughts, then she could have gone to Alia. I wish she'd gone to Cat Noir first though. And now that Alia has the Fox Miraculous like permanently, and I don't think Ladybug even talked to Cat Noir about this. She just was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm the guardian. I can do what I want. It's like, this dude has been your partner for so long, and suddenly you're making changes to a team dynamic that has worked for so long without even talking to him? Like, come on. It's not okay. And if the show wants to have some sort of like conflict and development with Cat Noir and Ladybug and their friendship, great. They're definitely on the right track, but it frustrates me that she didn't even think to go to Cat Noir first. She's just like, nah. It's like, I get it, Alia's her best friend. I thought Cat Noir was her best friend too. Like, they clearly have a good friendship. But Ladybug never seems to act like they're friends. It's like, obviously Cat Noir has a very big crush on her, but I thought that they had at least figured out how to work around that, and it's hard to see her just kind of ignore him in the same way the show just ignores him. It's like just about everything else. It's hard and frustrating to watch. Now we're gonna get into my thoughts on the love square. I thought about making this its own video, but I just figured it'd be better just to fit it all in here, and if you want me to go more in depth on this, let me know, and I can do that. So we're just gonna go in order of my least favorite to favorite ships of the love square. Starting off at the bottom is Ladrian. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I think it's too awkward. I don't like the fact that they're both, like, this is the person that they have a crush on, both ways, and I just think it makes it awkward. Any of the interactions with the two of them have seemed kind of awkward and weird, and maybe that's a kind of relationship some people like to see. That's not the kind of relationship I like to see. I like stuff with banter and fun, and clearly there's a friendship there first before there is the relationship. And that will make sense with why my top two are my top two. So the next up is Adrianette. Again, the awkwardness. It does not feel like there's any kind of friendship there. And honestly, being friends before getting into a relationship, I think, is the basis for the best relationships. All of the relationships that I have found the most compelling and believable in any kind of media, the people have been friends first. They took the time to develop their friendship before they got into a relationship, and I think that is honestly the best way to do it. No question, the best way to do it. And that is why I think Lady Noir is the second best ship in the love square. There clearly is a friendship there. They banter, they have fun with each other, and while they argue a lot, and obviously you get Cat Noir confessing his love several times over, it doesn't seem to really get in the way too often of their friendship and their dynamic and them being able to defeat villains. Obviously sometimes it happens, but it's not too frequent, and I think that makes it a really strong friendship. However, I don't love the way that Ladybug treats Cat Noir at times. As I mentioned in the previous section, I think that there could be a lot more that they could do with that friendship to make it stronger. However, I still think it's a good contender, and I think that could be one of the better ways to have them get into a relationship. And finally, my favorite, the one with the least amount of screen time, Marichat, I don't know. I love the two of them together, and maybe it's just the fan-created version of them in my mind that I really like. However, I just think they have the most potential out of all of them. The two people with neither of them having a crush on the other person that they are aware of. Obviously they both like each other, but they like the opposite versions of one another. And I think that Marinette and Cat Noir are the truest versions of the two characters. I think Ladybug is this overly perfect, confident character, and obviously we're seeing that crack now that she's the guardian, but I think her as Marinette, we've seen her confident side come through. We've seen her be a leader at times, but it also has her vulnerable and clumsy side that we really don't ever see in Ladybug that we do see in Marinette, other than the first time she was Ladybug. So I think that's why Marinette is the truest version of herself. And I think Cat Noir is the truest version of Adrien because he's able to be free, he's able to be funny, he's able to crack jokes and really be himself in a way that being Adrien doesn't allow him to. He has to be this perfect model boy as Adrien to live up to his father's standards, and I think that is too much for him, and I don't think that he's really able to show who he is. Cat Noir is an escape for him, and that's why he enjoys being Cat Noir so much. And I think when you have the two truest versions of the characters, I think that could be the greatest relationship. I love the idea of them confiding in one another when they're upset about something, just to have the late night conversations on the balcony. I wish we had more of that. I want to see a true friendship form between the two of them as Marinette and Cat Noir, and I think that could be the best way for them to get a relationship, because I think an important thing to happen is we need the love square to flip. We need Marinette to have a crush on Cat Noir, and we need Adrien to have a crush on Marinette, or Ladybug to have a crush on Cat Noir, and Adrien to have a crush on Marinette. I think we need that to flip. So that way, it really truly feels like if they get into a relationship, they really like the truest versions of one another, not the idealized, perfected versions. Because that's where it is right now. And I know that both Marinette and Cat Noir get to really see all sides of Ladybug and Adrian, but I feel like they fell in love with the idealized versions of themselves, and I want them to fall in love with the true versions of themselves. And I think that having the love square switch is the best way to do it, and the best way to have it switch is with Marinette and Cat Noir. Alright, so I kind of hit on this in just about every single point. The show's been dragging on for too long. It has been way too long with not much development, and it's making the show really boring to watch. I was like, during season 2 and most of season 3, as soon as an episode released, I was trying to find a way to watch it. I was making sure I saw it, even if it was in French with no subtitles, I was at least watching it. However, towards the end of season 3, I just kind of got bored. Not much was happening, and it took me months after it being released on either Netflix or Disney Plus for me to actually go and watch it. And I've only kept up with a few episodes of season 4. Like, if I see people like really talking about it online, I'm like, alright, I guess I'll go and watch it. But like, other than that, it hasn't really interested me a ton to keep up with it. And that might just be me. I might just be like kind of growing out of wanting to watch it, but I want to see how this ends. I want to be there when it ends. And it's just taking so long with not much happening. Nothing's really going on right now, and I think they need to pick up the pace a little bit. I think they need to pick up the pace. It's just not getting to the point where it's super interesting to watch anymore. There's too many filler episodes. It's not really advancing the plot enough, and if like there's always like this one little tiny thing in each episode that's like important to the overall story. Can we combine some of those? Can we just combine them together? Like, please, it would have been great. Because I'm sick of watching the same thing happen over and over and over again. I'm sick of it, and I want something new. Also, I think I touched on this earlier, I feel like a ton of time should have passed in the show. It has been so long. Like, the show's been going on for so long, and the story itself feels like it should have taken place over a much longer period of time than it seems to have. Nothing seems to have changed time-wise. Like, all the characters look exactly the same. Nothing has really changed with them, and I kind of think a good way to progress the story forward, to maybe have people move on in a faster way, is to do like a time skip or something. I feel like we need some sort of time skip, even if it's just like a few months or like to the next school year or something, because it just feels like it's taking a really, really long time for things to change. And if they don't want, the writers don't want to have to show like maybe Marinette losing her feelings for Adrian or something like that, or Cat Noir losing his feelings for Ladybug, do a time skip, and we can maybe throw in some flashbacks or something in there. You don't need to show it all. I feel like a time skip could be a good way for them to kind of progress the story forward, to maybe show how Hawkmoth's getting more powerful, and to just kind of move the story forward without dragging it on for too long. Alright, I know that all of this came off really critical. There wasn't really a ton of things that I said that were good about this show, but I want you guys to know that this is coming from a place of love. I enjoy the show a ton. I want the show to get better, and this is just how I think they could do it and kind of the issues I have with it. I do like a ton of the things about the show. I think it has a lot going for it. It's just not using it to its full potential. But I think given time and good writing, they could get there. I think they could get there, but you never know, it might not happen. So yeah, I think that's it for the video, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!